Okay, hello teachers. Welcome back to another segment of Classroom Management by Design for the primary teacher. I just want to make sure we were recording this time because this is actually my third time doing this. It's okay. I love you. If you have just found us on our little sector of the internet, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are lessonplantoolbox.com. I am Lauren Speak and I'm the founder of lessonplantoolbox.com, where we help primary teachers master classroom management easily, effectively, and consistently on a daily basis. You tell us what you need. We give you the strategies, the tips, the tricks, and help you regain control with as much ease as possible. If we can take a burden of stress off your plate, that is our goal and our mission. So thank you so much for being here. This week's segment, if you have missed any of our Classroom Management by Design series, go to lessonplantoolbox.com. Go find the blog little tab, click on that, and scroll through what blogs we've already done for Class Management by Design. We've been doing this since summertime, so there are so many tips and resources out there for you, from quieting the classroom to really helping you with your mindset. So this week, we're going to cover a topic that we don't really learn about in college. You see, as primary teachers, we are often taught that managing a classroom means keeping the energy flowing, right? Engagement, interaction, feedback. But sometimes the most powerful tool we have at our disposal is silence. In an era where children are constantly bombarded with stimuli, teaching them that the value of silence is more than just a classroom management technique. It is a skill that will help foster focus, self-regulation, and deeper learning. So in this segment, we are going to explore a lot of overlooked power of silence strategies and to help you get your students being comfortable with being silent. It's not a punishment. Silence can feel very uncomfortable at first, especially in a room full of young, energetic students. But within the silence lies an opportunity for both you as the teacher and your students. When your students are constantly engaged in verbal activities or group work, they very, very rarely have time to reflect on what they've learned. Silence gives them that pause, which is allowing them for deeper processing and retention of information. It teaches self-control. One of the most valuable tools primary students can learn, and you know this, it's self-regulation. So by encouraging moments of silence in your classroom, you are helping them to practice restraint and self-discipline. Not many of our students have that anymore. These young minds are so overstimulated by noise, both internal and external, that the silence allows your students to reset, which is going to clear their mental space so they can be more focused when learning resumes. When we teach students to respect silence, we also teach them to listen more carefully. When they aren't waiting for their turn, they can fully engage with what's being said, which is deepening their understanding. We all know silence can calm a chaotic classroom. But the benefits go so much deeper, so much deeper. Silence can truly boost creativity. Research has shown that periods of silence activate the brain's default mode network, and this is the area of the brain that's linked to daydreaming and to the creativity and problem-solving sector. Okay, so when students aren't talking or actively engaging in tasks, their brains are still working, but they're just working differently. And then this is where the creativity flourishes. Instead of seeing silence as this lack of productivity, think of it as this creative pause, right? For instance, after introducing a new concept, give your students just a few moments of silence to process what they've learned. You will be so surprised by the insightful questions that they come up and the creative ideas that arise when students are just given that space to think quietly. We overlook this so much. Primary students are still learning how to identify and manage their emotions at this age, right? So teaching them the value of silence can help them develop emotional regulation skills. When a student is upset or they're overwhelmed, giving them silence provides the safe space for them to calm down, think through their feelings, and regain control before reacting. You might consider creating a silent zone in your classroom, which is just a quiet corner where your students know they can go when they feel overwhelmed. It teaches them that silence can be a tool of self-soothing and reflection, helping them to develop healthier emotional responses over time. There is something so uniquely powerful about shared silence. When a class observes a moment of silence together, whether for reflection, after a lesson, or just part of a mindfulness exercise, it can create a sense of unity. This shared experience, it's going to bond your students in a nonverbal collective moment, which is going to strengthen your classroom dynamic. You want to encourage a classroom culture where silence is seen not as a punishment, but as a shared practice that brings the group together. Start with just small increments, perhaps a minute or two of quiet reflection, and then gradually build on longer periods as students become more comfortable with silence. There is a little bit of an art to this. The rule of thumb is usually 1 minute for however years old they are. You want to also know that silence is a powerful tool in classroom management strategy, but it's not just about quieting the room. It's about teaching students how to manage themselves. Silence can truly transform your classroom management. When your class energy is high or chaotic, you can use silence to reset the environment. Instead of raising your voice to regain that control, you're going to stand still, use a nonverbal cue, just like raising your hands, whatever cue you want. Wait for the silence to spread naturally. When you stop, they will stop. You might also consider teaching the golden rule of silence. And it's really simple. When someone is speaking, we give them the respect of listening without interrupting. That's simple. You will model this for behavior yourself by maintaining silence when a student is sharing or asking a question. Over time, your students will internalize this rule, understanding that silence is a form of respect. If they start talking over you, you stop speaking. Oh, that's very rude. I don't speak when other people are talking. I like to listen and be engaged, no matter how little they are. You also know transition times can be so chaotic, right? You can use silence to guide your transitions. Before moving from one activity to another, say something like this. Boys and girls, we are going to take 30 seconds of silence to clear our minds and get ready for our next task. This is not only going to calm the class, but also help your students to refocus their attention. Silence, it's not just about control. It's this tool for building deeper connections between you and your students. In those quiet moments, your students learn to reflect, they learn to observe, and they learn to listen to what's happening inside themselves. They begin to understand that their voice, while it's important, it isn't the only thing that matters. So is the voice of others, and sometimes the absence of sound itself is so crucial. When you create a classroom environment where everyone is valued, you show your students that every voice, every thought, it all matters. Silence allows everyone to think before they speak. And this is going to encourage just far more thoughtful contributions and respect. It's always nice to understand the scientific research on any topic. And in this case, it's the power of silence. So I'm going to share with you just some statistics from just different studies that I found, helping our students to become more comfortable with silence in their lives. And us as teachers too, that we don't always have to be go, 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 go. So the first study comes from Johns Hopkins University, and they found that mindfulness programs can reduce anxiety, depression, and pain by upwards of 30%. That's insane. Harvard Medical School, they did a study and it showed participants who meditated for 20 minutes for just 4 days experienced improved performance on memory tests and their attention spans. That one would be interesting to try in a classroom. Another study comes from the psychiatric research, and it reported that a 50% reduction in depression relapse rates among patients who practice mindfulness silence. Another study from Harvard found that long-term meditation can increase the density of the gray matter in our brain, particularly in areas associated with memory, learning, and emotional regulation. Hello. 8 weeks of meditation were shown to increase the gray matters in the hippocampus, and that's the part of the brain involved in the learning and memory. And it was increased by up to 16% just by being quiet. There were studies that showed a massive improvement in sleep quality of upwards of 42%, quieting the mind before bed. Other studies showed that mindfulness and meditation can activate brain regions with pain control. A 2016 study by the Journal of Neuroscience found that mindfulness meditations could reduce pain intensity by up to 27% and emotional pain by 44%. That outperformed morphine in certain areas, which shows you the power of your mind. University of Wisconsin did research that showed participants who engaged in an 8-week program had higher levels of antibodies in their bodies. Mindfulness meditations have been linked to increase upwards of 30% of people's immune systems. And then one last one, this was published by The Circulation, found that mindfulness meditations had a 48% reduction in risk of heart attack, stroke, and death compared to the control group following regular healthcare education. If these statistics don't show you the importance of silence and calming the mind, I'm going to suggest you do research of your own, because there is a ton of evidence out there. If you don't believe me, find your own research. Silence is often misunderstood as the absence of sound, but in the primary classroom, silence is a tool of growth, creativity, self-regulation, and connection. By incorporating silence into your teaching, you provide students with the space to reflect, to process, and become more mindful of their interactions and their words. When silence becomes a part of your classroom culture, you're not just managing behavior. You are truly teaching your students a skill they can carry with them throughout their life. In a world filled with constant noise, the ability to sit comfortably in silence is not only rare, but it's incredibly powerful. And we are going to do a follow-up segment on this one because it is so important and it is so powerful next week, where we're going to give you, it'll be a shorter segment, but we're going to give you strategies on how to bring the silence into your classroom comfortably and hopefully get you to create this habit of silence that, again, your students will carry with them for years to come. 95% of our day is run on the subconscious mind, which are all habits and things that we hear that we carry with us well into adulthood. This would be such a wonderful technique and skill to set your students up for success for years to come. So overlooked. I hope you enjoyed this segment. If you are seeing this, it is the beginning of October. Inside our membership, we are offering Shocktober. Any primary teacher can join our membership for free the month of October. Take advantage of any classroom management questions you have. Ask away, use, we will give you the videos, techniques, whatever you need. We are here for you throughout this month. If you fall in love with it and want to get on the bandwagon, we're going to have a special offer for you at the end of the month. But for right now, because October is where the honeymoon period is usually over, beginning of the school year, kids are settling in, you might be seeing true colors with behavior, you might be dealing with parents and you're not sure what to do, how to handle conferences, get into the membership. We send you a Google form, you fire away, here's what I need, and then we give you video segments where you can get the answers. You are not alone in this journey. You should not be alone in this journey. And if you feel alone, then please, by all means, fill out the Google form. I will link it into this YouTube video or the blog post, however you are getting this information. We would love to have you inside. You're lucky you're seeing this right now because this is the beginning of the month. So you will have us all month long, and if you choose, well into the future, or the future of lifetime. So again, I am Lauren Zvigan, the founder of Lesson Plan Toolbox. Thank you so much for being here. This one, I hope you could feel my energy because, again, we look at silence as punishment when we can truly train our students. You know what, boys and girls? We need to take time for silence as reflection. So until next week, we'll come back to you with segment 2 of this one, where we get into how do we do this in a classroom full of noise and chaos and energy. So not always a bad thing, but sometimes the silence is just as important. Until next time, talk to you soon.